Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all well. So we've got another pedal demo for you today, this time provided by the wonderful people at JHS. Hopefully you know who they are. They're responsible for some awesome pedals such as the Angry Charlie, the Andy Timmons version of the Angry Charlie, which is awesome. One of my favourites, which is the Colour Box, which is kind of sort of works like a classic channel strip, like a Neve 1073 style channel strip, which I really love. And today we are looking at the Bonsai Overdrive, which is a 9-way overdrive pedal. It comes in the same footprint as your standard Angry Charlie style box, so it's not very big. However, it has a 9-position rotary switch in it, which allows you to flick between 9 different overdrive circuits. And the guys at JHS have chosen 9 of their favourite overdrive circuits for you to choose from. So it's really interesting and it's very cool. So let's take a closer look at the pedal and I'll go through the different positions. So as you can see, the layout is pretty straightforward. We've got volume, drive, tone, and then of course in the bottom right we've got the rotary switch. So starting in position 1, if we go around anti-clockwise, these are the 9 different overdrive circuits you've got to choose from. And it should mention that these are switched with a digital relay switch, however, all the circuitry inside is analog. So let's start at position 1. We've got the OD1 from 1977, which is generally quite a bright, higher gain style overdrive, and it's worth pointing out that the tone knob doesn't work in this position. And generally speaking, it's really good for boosting other drives, and it gives you a bit more of a sort of saturated sort of singing tone to it, so that's really cool. Position 2, TS808, which I'm sure you're all aware of, is a very awesome pedal by Ibanez, and this is from 1979. It's like a low gain sort of tube screamer, but it's got more of a mid-range push to it, so I'm sure we will hear remnants of a very classic pedal there. Move to position 3, we've got the TS9, which from 1982 sounds pretty similar to the TS808, except there's a bit more of a low mid to it. So you'll probably be able to hear the difference. I'll make sure I flip between the two. Moving to position 4, we've got the MSL Power or L series from 1985. Now this is, I guess it was aimed for that kind of metal sound, but it doesn't really give you a modern metal-y sort of, you know, powerful sound that you might think of. It's a higher gain drive, but it's got more low end, but really it's for more of a kind of saturated, slick kind of smooth type gain. So that's hopefully what we'll hear when we try that. And then we move to position 5, which is the TS10 from 1986, and this was sort of made more popular by John Mayer. It's a slight upgrade from the TS9, but it's a bit more of a bluesy kind of pedal. There's more low end roll off, and it's a low gain kind of pedal, so it's going to be good for that kind of bluesy, bitey tone. Moving to position 6, we've got the XR OD1 from 1989. If you don't know what that is, the XR is a Polish-made TS style pedal. It's a bit of a different sort of drive to it. It's got a little more gain than the classic type of tube screamer you might expect, but it's a bit more transparent in terms of its feel. So we should notice that when playing through it. Moving to position 7, we've got the TS7 in plus mode from 1999. Now this is definitely the highest gain setting on the Bonsai. There's a bit more low end grunt to it, it's a bit dirtier and it's a bit all out really, so you're going to be able to get some nice lead tones with this. And then we get to position 8, which is the Keeley Mod Plus from 2002. Now we all know Robert Keeley is famous for modding his pedals, so it's a Keeley modded tube screamer. Tightens up the tone, gives you a bit more of a smooth mid-range and the high-end frequencies as well, and it's got a bit more bass response to it. So, you know, if you own one of the Keeley modded tube screamers, this might sound familiar to you. And then finally in position 9, we've got the JHS Strong Mod from 2008, which is a modification that they've been doing since then. It's more powerful, it's got more of a present kind of feel to it, and it generally has more low end, and it generally sounds more powerful. So really looking forward to hearing that. And yeah, basically that's 9 different analog tube screamer circuits in one box, which is ridiculous. For this demo I'm going to be using my Fender Custom Shop artist inspired 61 Strat. We're going into gain 1 of the Victory VX Kraken. For one reason, it sounds fantastic with a Fender Strat, but also I like to blend overdrives and tube screamers in front of a bit of gain, or at least in front of a channel that is designed to have gain in it so that it blends differently compared to putting a tube screamer on top of a sort of clean channel. I just prefer the way that sounds. And that's running straight into the 2 Notes Torpedo Studio with some custom IRs, and we're capturing everything with the Universal Audio Apollo 8P interface. It's also worth pointing out that I am using a bit of reverb and delay in the loop provided by the Boss RV and DD500s. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, let's get right into it. It's worth pointing out as well, I'll probably plug in a humbucker guitar later on with a bit more high gain, because we all know tube screamers sound great in front of high gain as well, so we'll do that for a little bit as well. Anyway, this is the sound of the Strat straight into the Kraken. Okay, let's go straight in with OD1. This is without, and this is with. Smooth. Feels smooth to play. The response is good. There's definitely less low end you can hear between the two without. Kind of shelves it, pushes out that mid-range a bit. Let's just boost the gain volume just because we can. Yeah man, it's definitely a nice feeling overdrive. It's definitely pushing the front end of the amp nicely, and again the difference is quite big. This is without, and then with. So irrespective of the fact you've got no control over the tone and there's a bit of low end being pulled out, it's still really fat sounding, so enjoying that. Let's move on to position 2, TS808. TS808 without. And with. Oh yeah, it's definitely got that tube screamer vibe to it. It's got a kind of, it's like a warm, fluffy kind of saturation to it, if that makes sense. You can feel it more than you could hear it maybe, I don't know. But that sounds good. I'm going to push the drive again and the volume. Something else I want to do is mess around with the tone knob. I want to check that it's musical. By that I mean, you know, rolling it all the way off and putting it all the way in. It's a usable sound, so here we go. Lovely. All the way in. Yeah, I like it. All the way out. I think that tone knob is definitely a usable sound, whether you have it all the way in or out. Depends on what you like. And again, when you're in the room, when you're jamming with a band, you might find that's a really useful feature because it's not drastic. And for me, that's a plus. So yeah, nice one. Okay, to position 3, the TS9. What I want to do is jump between the two because TS9 and TS808 are almost the same. It's just that the 9 has a little bit more low mid. So let's have a listen. Here is the 808. And here's the TS9. Yeah, you can hear it just pushes that low mid out a bit more. It's a bit gruntier. Here we go. TS9, really like the way that sounds. It's definitely, I think I prefer that to the 808, but I don't know, maybe that's just to my ears in the room, but I like the way it's got a bit more of a grunt to it, so digging it. Let's move on. Cool, so we're on to the MSL. Let's take a listen without. And with. I know what they mean when they say more of that kind of smooth saturation. I guess because, well, these are all kind of low gain to me in terms of the way they sound because of the tones that I've dialed in. But this one in particular, there's definitely more saturation. And even with the tone pushed up and we're pushing the front end, you can hear that there's not a lot of a spiky nature to it. It's a very smooth kind of gain. So it's nice for that kind of singy lead. Really look quite like it. It's nice. Okay, now we're on to TS10. This is the kind of, well, I guess the John Mayer kind of one of the lot. So let's have a listen. This is without. And here's with. Ooh, it's nice. Let's mess around with the controls. definitely a woody kind of organic feel to the TS10, and I think that's characteristic in John Mayer's tone. You know, he uses it's quite woody and quite articulate. But yeah, there's definitely some nice. You can hear there's a harmonic overture. I think it was this note. That's lovely. Nice. Let's move on. Okay, we're on to the XR circuit now. This is without. And with. That's cool. I like the way that feels. It's definitely a grunty, powerful kind of overdrive, and it's definitely I've gunned it almost, and it feels really good in front of that. Anyway, I think that speaks for itself. Very cool. Let's move on to the TS7. So TS7, this is meant to be the highest gain of the circuits in the pedal. So this is without. And this is with. So that's a TS7, definitely high gain. You can feel it. It's really overloading the front of the amp. I suppose that's one for more of a clean signal. But either way, I kind of do like that in front of a bit of overdrive from the amplifier. It's definitely got a saturated, thick sound to it. So when you're playing, it's definitely a leady kind of sound for me. But I'm digging it. Let's move on to the Keeley mod. Okay, so we're on to position 8 of 9. This is the Keeley modded Tube Screamer, again without. And with. That's definitely fun. I like the way that feels. It's a softer kind of saturated feel to the lead. I don't know, I got straight into it with a bit of lead stuff. Definitely the nicest one for me in terms of that style of playing. So even though I got a bit carried away, I think I'm enjoying that one. It's awesome. So let's move on to the final circuit, which is the JHS Heavy Mod. This is without. And this is with. That's ridiculous. That's definitely the best one for me. I mean, immediately you can play heavy riffs, you can do the kind of funky blues thing. At the same time as you can shred with it, it's got a nice kind of saturated sound to it. The tone's halfway, so you've got plenty of leeway. Man, that's a beast. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, so as you may have noticed, my guitar has changed. I'm now playing my ML3 Rabea, and I am going to try it in front of a high gain sound because, of course, we all know you can use tube screamers in front of a high gain amp to tighten them up. So let's have a listen. What I'll do is I'll be chugging and I'll flick between all 9 and we'll see which one sounds best. So this is it, straight in. So, of course, that's really, really high gain, and you can hear, but it's quite thick in the low end. So what I want to do is use the tube screamer in the classic sense of, well, say classic, I mean the kind of progressive metal way of doing things. So that's taking all the drive out, pushing the tone just above halfway, and we'll play with the volume about there for now. So I'm going to go back to the OD1. So here we go, this is without, and this is with. Okay, so that definitely tightens it up. So I guess what I'm going to do is move between each one. So let's move on to OD 808. Nice. Okay, TS9. Cool, so now onto the MSL. Here's without. And here's with. So it definitely doesn't tighten it up. It makes it more of a leady kind of tube screamer, as you'd expect sort of tone. But bloody hell, that's awesome. Right, well, let's move on. We're going to go across to the TS10 now. Without. With. I mean, yeah, it's fierce. It's definitely fierce. But yeah, I mean, let's keep it going. All right, so we're on to the XR now. And with. Yeah, that's tighter for sure. TS7, I reckon this is going to be overkill, but let's have a listen. Without, here we go. I mean, it's just full on, you know, but it sounds good. Right. Keeley modded. This is without. And then with. Now that tightens up the low end in the way you'd expect from the Tube Screamer. It definitely does the job I was expecting it to do. These are all marginal, you know, they're subtle, but you can hear there's different characteristics to each one. But yeah, right, let's move on to the very last one. This is the Strong mod. Now imagine, again, this is going to be intense, because judging by how it was with the Strat, this is going to be full on. So without. And with. I mean, it does the thing, you know, it's definitely, I mean, to be honest, I don't really know what to say other than the fact that you can get all those different tones out of this one pedal. It's a long video because there's so much in it, you know, 9 different Tube Screamers. And the thing is, you can use it in front of the heavy sound like we have, got lead tones if you want, or there's tighter kind of progressive metal tones if you want to do that too. But for me, where this pedal really shines, and where all Tube Screamers for me should shine more, is, you know, when you push the front end of a slightly broken up amp with something like a Strat. The tones I was getting there were, for me, way more satisfying than the tones I'm getting for this heavier stuff, because at the end of the day, you know, like, they were designed for pushing the front of a cleaner amplifier, not for tightening up, you know, your modern gain amplifiers, although that's the thing now. For me, it's all about, you know, getting a Strat and just playing some dirty blues and leady stuff. So, I mean, To be honest, the Bonsai is an absolute must if you want the full spread variation of Tube Screamer type pedals, because it does them all in one box. So it really, when they got in touch with me, they said this is the TS to end all TSs, and I think they were right. Well, there you go, guys. There is the JHS Bonsai Overdrive. It's been quite a long video, but that's for good reason. There was a lot to cover. It's no simple feat, is this pedal. The fact you've got 9 different Tube Screamers at your disposal with the rotary knob is just very cool. It's a useful tool to no end in the studio and for live, and whatever type of guitar player you are. If you're looking for a Tube Screamer and you're not quite sure, my recommendation is the JHS Bonsai, because, I mean, let's face it does them all. It's £219 from wherever you are locally, but Anderton's stock these at £219, so I'll put a link in the description box below. Please let me know what you think in the comments section. Thank you to JHS for sending this beast over for me to do, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, I've been Rabea, and I will see you later.